I think this moves us on to Andor episode 5.
Yes.
So, out of the 3 episodes this week, this was definitely the least exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of
But
was a filler.
I feel like last week I said, or it might have been during the 3 episode premiere, there's lots of characters for you to wrap your head around. And episode 5 feels like they were very aware of that. So they wanted to give us a bit of a slower paced episode to get to know the people in that little group that he's working with.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was very successful.
Yeah.
I definitely think Andor so far, however, is feeling more like a Netflix show in the sense of they should have just dropped it all at once and let people binged it.
Yeah, I can get that. I think this week's episode it was a bit of a weird one because, like you said, we got introduced to a bunch of characters last week when Cassian arrives at the camp,
Yeah.
and we know there's a job about to happen. We don't really know much about these people, so this week's episode was very much a setup episode. One was building up to this building up the tension to this big job that they're gonna do. But then it's also at the same time, in a way, is trying to introduce you to the first people of the rebellion, and it's like also being like, okay, let's introduce you to these people and actually give you the reasons why each of them are here and like what they have to this, like what's their reason behind being here.
Well, I forget the character's name, but the kid who was the main character in End of the Fucking World on Channel 4. Brilliant show if no one's watched it. Like, you get to see him as like a true believer in the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the guy who, based on the conversations him and Cassian had, seems like he might have been a criminal.
I got
Or
more military.
yeah, or something like that. Something that was very strict that clearly had an impact on him. And him being like, I never liked the Empire, and they killed my brother who was a good, honest man, and now I want to watch them burn. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's interesting to see how over time the Empire has just slowly disillusioned different parts of their society.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's got to the point where all of these fringe groups are like, fuck it, we're working together because I hate them more than I hate you.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of like, sure, I can kind of stick it to them wherever I'm from, just little local things. But it's like, they know they're not doing anything. And it's the opportunity to really stick it to the people they hate in a bigger way. Like, they want to be part of it. I thought it was interesting the fact that we kind of also got to see the inside guy. I can't remember his name. The general.
Lieutenant.
Yeah, the lieutenant. Like, see his, like, having to play the inside job guy. And then also we got some of the other characters of the show with Luthen in his shop, obviously waiting to, like, nervous, waiting for it to hear. And also you can see like he's in not putting on his character. Like, he is in his normal form, worried, and then his assistant girl's like, come on, being like, it's getting late. You've got customers in the morning. Like, you need to put on your persona tomorrow. Like, you need your rest and like to get.
They're on Coruscant, which is like the heart of the Empire. Tomorrow is not a day for you to get caught lacking and get us all killed.
Yeah, you need to be on form as normal. Like, even with this like big job that's happening. And then we also got Mon Mothman, some more inner workings of her family and how it's quite clearly father and daughter on one side, she's on the other.
Yeah. Father and daughter very clearly do not give a fuck about the Empire ruining loads of people's lives as long as they're okay.
Yeah. Very much dad and daddy's girl against mom who wants to be a good person. Which I think explains why she obviously we know in Rogue One she's there with them. She obviously, I think, becomes distanced from them. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, we didn't really get much. Like, we got more indication of the job that's going down. The fact that Cassian was like, do you guys even know if this is on its rails already? Do you know this? They had no fucking clue. So
Yeah.
like just the lack of, while yes they're prepared, they also just aren't actually that prepared for
Yeah,
whatever they're going
exactly.
into. And while they may not be 100% keen on having him there, he is actually going to prove very helpful. I think it obviously we're going to get to see it all kick off next week.
Yeah.
Um,
It was also interesting, I think, that again, sorry, going back to how everyone came involved.
mhm,
You've got the lieutenant who fell in love with a local and then had that
mm,
ruined, and like that was what disillusioned him. But like I said, it's interesting, like seeing people like Mon, who we know end up being a big part of the rebellion in like the original trilogy.
mm,
Um, so we just like know that this is very early and there are big players involved. Um,
yeah.
it's exciting. I'm also really enjoying the B story of the corpo guy, like who clearly
Oh
hates his
yeah.
life, trying to get it back on track.
Well, it's very much like so the way I see it is like he quite clearly aspires to be at that imperial like in command level,
Uh huh.
and thinks he can do it and wants to be like empire to the book, and obviously feels like he's now had his path and opportunities been pulled away from him because of a mistake he's made, and he's now back at his parents, back at his mum's house, moping around eating cereal with blue milk. Star Wars loves their blue fluids.
Yeah.
I love that they always just have to like somehow
Well,
put that in there as like
it was like it
alien
was like a
milk.
yeah, it was a weird decision they made in the 80s to show they're a sci-fi that's now just become a staple.
Yeah, now they just have to do it. It's a bit of a meme. But then I also like the fact that I want to know who more about this uncle that the mum's gone to for a favor, because I feel like he's gonna end up getting an opportunity of something within
Yeah.
the like empire level actual like, and he quite clearly like he still had the hologram of Cassian, so he hasn't given up on that whole like this guy's ruined my position and obviously wants him to pay for it still.
Yeah, he's got his own little Sith.
Yeah. So that little side story I agree is very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that
Yeah. I think
develops.
yeah, that's definitely going to be more of a slow burner, which is never a problem.
I wonder if he ends up back on, was it Fennec? Because we saw the Empire with her and setting up, didn't we? And he was like, the guy in charge was just like, "Do you want this as your office building? How like get this set up before I'm back in whatever." I wonder if he gets some opportunity to be back in charge there or something.
Maybe.
I don't think we're done with that planet at all.
Not at all. But it was definitely a filler episode in the sense
Mm-hmm.
of nothing hugely of note happened, but it wasn't a filler episode in the sense of it was all stuff that had to happen and they didn't want it to be done too fast and handled irresponsibly because it was important stuff.
Yeah, it was very much a character setup more, so you get more invested in
Yeah.
each of the characters, and also building the tension for this big job that they're about to do.